Welcome to SVGTV News for Thursday, May 15th. I'm Jimmy Prince with the details. Some 1,948 students will write the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment Exam, or CPEA, tomorrow in 17 centers across St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The CPEA replaces the Common Entrance Examinations with the new structure, making it possible for students to earn a total of 40% through internal assessment. The transition to the new structure has been described by some grade 6 teachers as challenging. However, the CPEA came in for high commendations by those we spoke to earlier today. They explained that students are now being provided with a better opportunity to have a secondary education.
It has been a long journey, and the students would have worked very hard, as well as the teachers, because with this new CPE exam, it has the internal component, and getting that covered while teaching and preparing them for the final exam, that has been a challenge, but we would have managed. All the content was covered. We gave them practice for their exam, so it's just for them to go tomorrow and to do their best.
It was a challenge in some areas. For instance, we were accustomed doing very small projects, so we may look at one area and not as wide as CPA requires now. The project aspect of this internal assessment was helpful for the children in that it taught them research skills, it taught them to look at problems, and it taught them how to solve problems. So that in itself was a very good thing. So we have a thing that we say that we don't prepare students for the work life. We are not preparing them for the community life. However, the work on the project, I think, has laid a foundation for them to understand the deeper concepts that are out there in society.
Paul Jocelyn, a teacher at the Kingston Preparatory School, says that a lot of work has gone into preparing the students for tomorrow's exams, and he remains optimistic that the students will do well.
Well, it is the first year, and of course we were accustomed to the common entrance before. This CPA system is slightly different, so to speak, in that, well, we're using the same syllabus, so that's not a big problem. So the syllabus is the same, but it involves just more work, in the sense that you have to document more things. When it comes to the syllabus itself, we have been able to cover the syllabus. I don't think we would have had enough time to do the kind of revision that we would like to do, because the different projects and book reports and those things would have taken up more time, but we did what we understood, we did what we were instructed to do, and we hope that things will work out well.
The results of the CPEA are expected to be released by the middle of June, following which the Ministry of Education will conduct the secondary school replacement exercise. Meanwhile, SVGTV News caught up with some of the grade 6 students who will create history tomorrow as the first to write the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment exams. They spoke briefly about their expectations for the exam.
I think I'm not nervous, but my mom said I should be brave and I want to go Girls High School.
I feel very excited and confident that I will do well in the exam tomorrow.
I feel very confident of doing this because of the fact that maths was just a little challenging for me. I'm not that good in it, but I am a very good child when it comes to science and language.
The issue on the philosophy of preventing accidents at the workplace needs to be fully addressed. That's according to a member of VINLEC's board, Brian George. Speaking at the opening ceremony of a conference on occupational health and safety last evening, George said the lack of resources might be a contributing factor in the number of workplaces not having the necessary safety measures in place.
In the local context in St. Vincent, we are clearly moving forward and developing. A clear example of this is this conference that we're attending here today. We have come to recognize the importance and benefits of good occupational health and safety in the workplace and the attendant benefits. We as a nation have also come to realize the negative impacts of poor occupational health and safety. In this regard, we are being led on a national scale by the government of St. Vincent and Grenadines as it moves to complete the drafting of the Occupational Safety and Health Act. Hopefully it can be passed soon and enacted. This demonstrates a firm commitment and understanding in my mind of and by government of the need to build and develop a culture of preventative health and safety policies and systems that permeates all society.
George noted that VINLEC has identified the need to do its part as it relates to occupational health and safety and hopes other entities will follow suit.
By the company to have a month of activities on an annual basis to address health and safety in the workplace typifies the company's responsibility and conscience in this regard. The energy sector is full of risk and perceived to be a particularly dangerous environment. This is no secret when compared to other industries. The company even has one of its corporate performance indicators, a health and safety parameter for measurements of the performance of the company. Unfortunately, the safety indicator results in recent years have not been the best. VINLEC has to do better as a national, state-owned corporate leader. But there are day-to-day actions and initiatives by the company to develop this preventative culture that would promote good occupational health and safety. The board and management of VINLEC are willing to commit further resources in this regard, and the board has taken the responsibility to hold management responsible and accountable, and by extension, management holding staff responsible and accountable once equipped with the requisite resources.
Meanwhile, George said that there are too many offices, particularly in the government service, which are not up to par as it relates to occupational health and safety, and this, he says, needs to be addressed.
I see electrical cables, I see fans, one incident with a Chinese fan, I think that we're all familiar with. But too many offices are unsafe, and the type of equipment that we're asking the staff and the employees to work in. Ergonomics, repetitive strain injuries are all considerations that we need to pay attention to.
He noted that there needs to be a change of workers' attitude with respect to safety.
In this regard, I wish to provide two brief anecdotes. On a project which I was on a few years ago, we took the initiative to provide employees with hard hats. I recall that when I made a visit to one of these sites around lunchtime, not only had they taken out the insert and thrown down the hard hat, one individual was actually eating callaloo soup out of it. I also want to take another opportunity at another post which I held, where we provided steel-tip boots for employees, because on a regular cycle they're replenished and replaced. This particular employee took his boots, he will wear them to come to work, all polished and fine and dandy, change his shoes to either slippers or inappropriate piece of footwear for the work, use that throughout the day, and then when it is time to go back home, he'll put back on the steel-tip boots.
In related news now, persons who think occupational health and the safety is not their business are being urged to think again. Chief Executive Officer of VINLEC, Tony Myers, says this should be the business of everyone and that individuals need to stop and think about the food they eat and the amount of chemicals that are being used to produce some of this food.
Are agricultural workers educated about the chemicals they use? Do they sufficiently protect themselves? Do the owners of the farms do enough to protect their workers? Or are they simply concerned about spraying? This is part of your menu for tomorrow. VINLEC is on a campaign to enact modern occupational safety and health legislation, because we think that VINLEC can benefit from this exercise and from a modern legislation.
A new mechanism has been put in place to monitor the complaints from CARICOM nationals who face challenges in accessing the systems of the Caribbean single market and economy. Speaking at a consultation held here earlier this week, representative of the CARICOM Secretariat, Wanya Ellis, said that complaints will be taken a bit more seriously. Ellis outlined that the procedure includes the filling of a form that will be checked by different focal points.
But for instance, the persons would come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and this is a particular issue at point of entry. It's not only point of entry, it could also be, for instance, at the registrars, at the ministry of the ministry that gives out the certificates, national security. So it could be anywhere where the person is trying to access a right. And it's a particular issue, the person fills out the form, make sure that the focal point in St. Vincent gets on the form, but also that the sending focal point, so the focal point in Suriname would receive that complaint so that the follow-up could take place. And of course, the CARICOM Secretariat is also to receive a copy of that complaint so that the follow-up could be done and that, you know, matters of complaints are taken a little bit more serious.
The CARICOM official added that many Caribbean countries are guilty of drafting policies and not implementing them, which she says she hopes that this is not the case with the CSMA.
Stakeholders to this process are critical and important. There's only so much Mr. Taney UC can do. There's only so much I can do. The project is only successful if it's implemented at the national level. best practices could be drawn up by the consultant, and he did a wonderful job in putting all of the bits and pieces in place. But if it's not implemented, there's no success to the project.
And still ahead, a new solo pan competition added to the lineup of pan activities for Vincy Mas 2014. More stories on this, the Carnival Beat, when we come back. Well, the Yulu Pan movement says it is confident that over the past year it has been able to dispel thoughts that pan is only visible at carnival time. Speaking at the Carnival Development Corporation media conference earlier this week, President of the Yulu Pan movement, Onika Morgan, says pan is very much on the move in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. She added that since Vincy Mas 2013, there have been many activities with the steel pan being the main feature. Meanwhile, Morgan says 2014 will see the hosting of the Scotiabank Solo Pan competition, an idea she says originated from the Carnival Shows Committee. Morgan says that this competition is scheduled to be staged at the launch of Panorama on May 25th.
The winner would receive a trophy from Scotiabank and also a scholarship, well, a bursary as such, to have their exams paid and tuition paid for tutoring in the Royal Schools of Music program. It's open to juniors. It's open to any junior player who want to pursue, well, their solo dream as such, between the ages of 8 to 18.
Today's disappointment is tomorrow's opportunity. This is one of the motivational quotes that contestant number 2 in this year's Miss SVG pageant, Miss Murchison General Insurance Company Limited, Celeste Blair, says has molded her into the positive young lady she is today. In Carnival Beat this evening, we get to see a bit more of the informal side of Blair as we continue with a one-on-one interview with this year's Miss SVG contestants. Jamisha Wright has more.
When SVG-TV visited the home of contestant number 2, Celeste Blair, Miss Murchison Insurance Company Limited, she was busy in the kitchen preparing what she says is her favorite dish.
Hi, Jamisha. Hi, Celeste. How are you? I am good. This is what you look like at home. What are you doing? I am cooking some pilau. That's one of my favorites. Your favorite? Yes. And I just made some juice.
However, prior to visiting Blair's home, she sat down with us and shared more of who she is, specifically expressing her love for doing work around the house.
Most persons tend to categorize, stigmatize, girls that look pretty. They think, okay, pretty, but can't do anything at home. Is that Celeste, really?
Celeste is pretty, but I assure you that Celeste is very active at home. I know I cook, I clean, I wash because I live alone, so Celeste has to do everything. And when I tell persons that, especially guys, because of how I look, they'll be like, you cook? And I will say, yes, I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to cook to go to work. I say, girls like you don't get up at 5 o'clock to cook and to for work, and I say, yes.
Sophie, get out of the kitchen. You cannot be here. Sports. Do you like to play sports?
In school I used to play netball, but after school
for netball.
Yes, I know. They used to use that. Put me more defense, more attack. Yeah, but after I left school I never got involved into playing netball, but I'm still interested in playing netball.
Prior to you entering this SVG, I am sure you had one perception. Now that you are in it, is that perception the same? Tell me.
I must say my perception of the Miss SVG pageant from previous years has changed. From my experience now, I am realizing that it takes more to be a contestant. It's not just a pretty face. You have to be intelligent, be focused, you have to be dedicated, prepare yourself for a lot of hard work, and it is something where you have to decide if it's going to make you or break you, because it has its challenges, and you really have to be people, you really have to be a very strong individual. And I am accepting the challenges, and I'm going to make me and not break me.
Join us tomorrow during Carnival Beat for a one-on-one with contestant number 5, Shadisha George, Miss Lima. Reporting for Carnival Beat, I am Jamisha Wright.
See your eyes, yeah. When them up like you just don't care. Point them up to the sky, let them fly.